for Catalans. He was all over the park, leading them around and making things happen, weren't he, Sam Tompkins?
Yeah, more often than not, he had the pass before the try assist pass, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, did you pick out anyone different to those guys?
No, I had both Langy and Mead. I would have given Mead some points at over Drinkwater. He was a bit quiet for me. But I mean, that's saying something in a team that was basically running rampant.
Yeah, a bit quiet. 3 try assists, I think, or 2 try assists.
Yeah, but I don't know. For me, Mead, as you rightly pointed out, was good. One question I had, which is apropos nothing really, has Davis always been that broad-chested? Because he seemed really big in the upper body.
No, so he's never been tiny, but he probably always played like he was that broad-chested. But no, when he broke his ankle last year, he basically couldn't do any running or anything.
Oh.
So did a lot of weights.
So it was always an arm and chest day then.
I remember walking in, sort of coming across him at Wigan's Fan Day last year inside the Robin Park training facility, and I just said to him, like, "You've been busy." I was like, "What's happened here?"
Yeah, it's not the typical winger physique, but yeah, it didn't hold him back.
The injuries for Wakefield, very good, I think, of Chris Chester to not make them an issue, and it was all just injuries, wasn't it? There was nothing malicious in this game. It didn't really feel like there was physical stuff from both sides, from the Frenchman on the Wakefield side and from everyone else towards the Frenchman on from the Catalan side. What do you think? Big factor? No.
For me, the writing was on the wall very early in this one. I think, when the injury started to take the toll, I think there were already 2 or 3 tries down, and they never looked in it at all. And it does raise some questions for me about what's in it for Wakefield for the rest of the year now, in many ways.
Well, they've got the cup
it's not looking good. Yes. Okay.
They were 12-0 down when Kalepi Tanganoa got injured. That was the first one, weren't it? Looked like he cracked a rib pretty bad.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, rib injury, which it can be painful things, can't they?
Yeah. They were probably the worst affected by the change around of fixtures, weren't they? Because different opponent than they would have been planning for, and a day earlier than they would have been playing. But it actually gives them a day longer to get ready for the cup game next week. So the swings and roundabouts there, but you gotta say that for Wakefield in mitigation, but it was no excuse for them to be so poor. I mean, their right edge defence was so porous to start off with. I can't see, other than through injuries and stuff like that, how Ryan Hampshire's going to get another game in the halves for them, because he was so turnstile-y. And that was, so the writing was on the wall, like you say there, and as soon as they started to shift some players over that way, Sam Tompkins spotted it straight away and just started hitting the gaps on the other side. Yeah,
it was a massacre. The scoreline doesn't flatter Catalan at all. It was it wasn't close at any stage, and I'm glad that Chester has kind of been clear about that, because they were unlucky with injuries, and that obviously limits your ability, but. Yeah, they had nothing. They had nothing to offer, really. And I fully expected Catalan to do their kind of up and down performance and be a bit rubbish this week, but they were on song again, which is we'll see what that means for weeks to come.
Any of their 10 tries stand out for you above any of the others? What were your highlight moments?
I'm trying to think of I was impressed by the early movement down Samuelson and Lange's side for the early tries down that side. The movement was more impressive than almost the finishes, really. But yeah, none of them really stand out as individual finishers because there were just too many of them. I can't remember them all.
I think there was some neat team play, involving Tompkins, Mead, Drinkwater and Maloney to an extent as well, and setting up the Davies tries and the early Lange try and stuff like that. But the overriding memory from the game for me probably will end up being Lange's 2 leaps, one for the assist to Whitley and then the other one for his own try. particularly the one for Whitley's try. I think he was just so dominant in getting to that ball and then getting the neat offload away. But yeah, there's going to be a challenge with him on one centre and Folau on the other for Wakefield next week. If one player was able to do it, imagine what they've got when they've got two playing on that sort of game plan. Work to do for Wakefield.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good that Lang is actually, I think I'm sick of, we said he was a centre for as long as I can remember.
Yeah. And,
it shows that actually he can play there.
Yeah, we were right.
We were right after all.
We are, yeah.
So, yeah.
Shall we move on to the second game on Saturday? A very different affair.
It was.
Do you want to take us through the scores and the stats?
All right, so it was Huddersfield 18, Warrington 19, 8 apiece at half-time, and Ben Thaler was the man with the whistle. As you might expect, it was close on the stats. Warrington made just more metres at a decent 1.2 metre per carry, better average gain, but Huddersfield made 2 more breaks and had 2 fewer errors. Less than 1% difference in team tackle success, but Wise discipline was much worse. 5 more penalties and 2 sin bins. We'll talk about them in a bit. For Warrington, Tom Lynham with a try and 141 metres. Toby King, 2 try assists, 9 tackle busts, 108 metres and 5 offloads. Josh Charnley, 133 metres. And Jack Hughes went both ways, 40 tackles and 105 metres. For the losing Giants, Michael Lawrence, great game I thought he had. 51 tackles, 14 mark tackles, 105 metres. Suir Matagi had 40 tackles at 122 metres. Any other business had 44 tackles and 13 marker tackles. And Jerry McGillivray on the wing had a try, 5 tackle busts, 167 metres and 3 clean breaks.
Yeah, so into the fan view, St. David said, well, at least it was a contest. Giants will feel hard done by with Thaler and the video ref bottling the red card. Are you allowed to have blockers stood next to the play of the ball for a drop goal, by the way? Yes, would be my answer to that. I think you are allowed them to, as long as they stand there. I think you are.
They can't move, but they can be physical blockers. But they're not allowed to make an effort to affect the players chasing.
I think so. Yeah, all teams do it anyway, so it can't be not allowed because we see it so often.
Well, even if it's not allowed, it's not penalised.
Oh, okay.
So Tom Andrews says, extra man for a quarter of the game, but no killer players in there, Arsenal. Superb comeback from McIntosh's hair. Was bottom of the pile this time last year, now up there with the elites, probably due to the overall quality lowering, but still credit where it's due.
Second best fan review of the week. EFC 78JU. I'm going to take a breath for this one. In fact, I'll take a sip because we know there's not going to be any punctuation. It was quite a close game between the both. Warrington deserved the points, all thanks to our saviour Blake Austin with his drop goal. That would have been defeat or golden point defeat to either a Huddersfield Giants try or a Giants drop goal in our first golden point, which that will never happen. All because of our wire hero. Thanks, Blake, for the 2 points and putting us in third for now. On to Wakefield, back at the HJ Stadium in brackets home. Punctuation! But still, obviously, big hero worship for Blake Austin there. Blake Austin talked about overcoming the fact that he'd got himself sin binned with a stupid trip and then doing something at the end of the game to rescue his team, and obviously it resonates with the fans when stuff like that happens, which is cool.
Yeah, he's still a shithouse. Mark W says, taking a lot of positives from this, a side mainly made up of academy graduates who spent most of the game with 2 props and most of the second half with 1 prop and no bench, and yet despite a wide touchdown, a bottled red and a try wiped off when Austin fancied a nap, we kept it to 1 point. We're a world apart from the 2019 Giants, and if we keep up this effort, the wins will come and we'll carry on challenging for that top 4.
Yeah, all good points. And, second game we're talking about, second game where a team ended up with no one fit on the bench to come on. David Hunter said, it may not have been convincing, but that is now 2 from 2 since the resumption for my boys. If they can click at finals team, we may see a new name on the trophy. Oh, David. Obviously, he's not been a Wire fan for long enough to know what saying things like that causes. It's always your year, just like the last one. Yeah,
and it's the hope that kills you. Paul Mac 78 says, not a ref's fault, guy, but come on. Ben Murdoch-Masila should have been sent off. Adam O'Brien should have stood. Since when can you call time off for injury after the play of the ball, and Austin didn't even go off for a HIA? Sets a dangerous precedent. We'll have players laying down all over the place. Widdop try was off a blatant forward pass too. Proud of the effort from the lads though. Ty was good, Edwards too, and Goulding was safe at the back. Goulding, sorry.
Yeah, that Widdop try has made its way into the tries of the week options on the R League.
Well, it's got to be said that compared to last week, this week's a definite dip, isn't it, in quality compared to last week?
The peak of last week's, the sort of...
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Last week was ridiculous.
Last week that were better than any try most weeks, but yeah.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I'm not dissing this week. I'm just saying last week was just ridiculously good, that's all.
That Adam O'Brien no try, I was shocked that Austin didn't get forced to go off for a HIA. If he was so hurt that he had to stop the play, I would say that the referee should be saying he would have to go off for a check at that stage. I think there has to be a consequence there. We've talked before about Warrington diving a bit and conning the ref a bit. I know all teams do it, but it's just...
Oh, we all know Warrington gamed the system to their advantage. They've always done that, and it still hasn't won them anything. So... yeah, for me, the physios or the doctors or whatever, for years they've been gaming it in terms of getting play stopped unjustifiably. For me, yeah, it has to be the only reason to stop play is if a play is directly in the way.
Which he was, there is to be fair, and I do think the whistle went before O'Brien jumped over him.
I forget the exact. It
was on the try line, weren't it? He was in the ruck on the try line. He'd been part of in the tackle that the play of the ball came from. He had took a bit of a knock round the jaw. There's no denying that there was contact there, accidental, for him to react to. But yeah, like you say, he played the system a bit, and I think we see this more in Super League. In Super League, I feel like we see more players appealing to the ref for decisions to go their way. We see more sort of stopping before they play the ball to sort of ask the ref are they going to give a penalty or not, and we see more kind of falling over than I think we do in the NRL. I think they need to get back to playing sometimes, these players. I don't know. Maybe feel like, how would you feel like if it happened the other way rather than win at all cost?
Well, as you said, it was accidental contact, wasn't it? It wasn't like deliberate high contact with the head, for example, just picking something at random that a player, maybe should have been sent off with a red card with.
Well, that's the next thing to get to, isn't it?
Yeah. Red card.
It was... I thought direct forcible contact to the head would be a red card in every match.
Yeah, because it's been a red card for
I get
before.
that the polar bear dipped in a bit. He wasn't at full height, and I think what Ben Murdoch-Masila braced himself for a full-on contact, but as English was dipping a bit, Murdoch-Masila was already committed to this full-on contact. I don't think it was I know he hit him with his shoulder, but I don't think it was a shoulder charge. But I think he was fronting up his shoulder to brace the impact from a big forward running at him quite fast. He just got it wrong, didn't he? It was reckless. He's got a grade C charge and a 2-match ban, which I think is fair for the circumstance of the challenge. But I think a red card would have been like the complete bit of everyone dealing with that correctly. Do you know what? I'm not sure the refs got it live, and I think that's played a part in the decision because it played on, and Josh Charnley got tackled 20 metres up the field after the knock on,
Yeah, because he lost it, didn't he?
Yeah,
Obviously.
and it was only, and then play stopped for the injury. I don't know that the refs got. I don't know. Maybe one of the touch judges called it, and it's just the ref hadn't heard the call, but until after the play. But